the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we are in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we will not be ashamed. To turn, 'twill be our delight, till by turning, turning we come round right.
Sweetest days of childhood, playing in the deep woods, stomping through the creek and feeling oh so much alive. And camping in the forest, we join the cricket chorus and hum our songs of gratitude around a crackling fire. And out here in the stillness, I found my house of worship, with column trees and canopy of stars. Here in my cathedral, it was beneath the blue skies I ran down to be baptized. I felt the river wash me clean and dried beneath the sun. And to this day believing, wide awake or dreaming, I scan the ancient sky and understand where I belong. 'Cause out here in the stillness, I find my house of worship, with column trees and canopy of stars. Here in my cathedral, this is where I find my soul, out where holy men of old first knelt in soil and thanked you for the rain. Wrote the psalms that fill the air, herald angels sang their prayer out beneath your darling constellations. So let me off and wander, robin song and thunder, surrounding me with stained glass leaves that change with every breeze. And out here in the stillness, I'll find my house of worship, with column trees and canopy of stars. Here in my cathedral,
This is a presentation titled Qualitative Research and My Dissertation, just to give you a little feeling for what kind of research I did and what I found and that sort of thing. This is a picture of the school that I studied. I have blocked out the name of the school, obviously, but it's in rural Georgia. I had these basic questions. What happens in school hallways? Very open-ended question, isn't it? What formal whole class movements occur in hallways? What informal social activities take place in hallways? And what do the various social formations and activities within them mean to kids? And the meaning to kids is very important. But we have to define social formations. They are the physical arrangement of two or more people for some kind of social interaction. And then I also want to mention that I had several theoretical frameworks. I'm not going to go into all those, but suffice to say that I wanted to keep it as open as possible because I didn't know exactly what I would find there. Here I'm sort of having fun with some of my ideas about an alien. You're kind of taught to look at people as aliens in this form of research because it gives you an outsider point of view and perhaps greater objectivity, or at least that's the theory. So I took them to be literal aliens. Again, I'm having fun with my data here. Now this is a map that I made with the help of one of my kids of this wing of the school so I could get a feeling for what the overall picture is like. And then the question is, why did I do that? Well, I get to know the environment incredibly well in the process. It also gives me a role. People are very suspicious of people that have no role, and they usually don't understand research, or certainly kids don't. It also gives time for people to get used to you and become more natural in what they do. But then I used videotape. And why did I videotape? Well, because too much was happening to see everything, let alone to get it all written down. And I wanted to do more fine-grained analysis. That means closer to it, more detailed. And it's also useful for teaching. And I found that to be very helpful in my teaching. In my analysis, there were three basic things that stood out. As you can see on the left, there's a picture of a line of kids. In the middle, you have two kids walking side by side, and over on the right, you have what's called a cluster, and that's basically two people or more just standing and talking to each other. Those were the three basic things that I saw most often. Here we see a school line. This is in the early elementary wing, which I really didn't spend a lot of time in. I may have gone over there for a day or two just to compare. But this is something I saw a lot, and that is the phalanx. It's walking side by side and walking in the process. Curiously, this is something we all do every day, but there is no technical name for it. So I named it the phalanx. The reason for that is that a phalanx was something out of ancient history, and that's when people would walk side by side into battle, and they would hold their shields up for protection. And kids really saw themselves as going into battle in the school. Most of the kids, not all of them, but most of them. Here we have a picture of a couple of girls that are in a phalanx, and then this is the cluster. As you see, the difference is they're not moving, they're not walking, they're just standing there and talking to each other. Very, very common to see dyads, which means two people. Here's a variation of the cluster. These are sitting clusters. This was at the beginning of the day before any classes. Kids would come in early and they'd sit on the floor and basically wait for the teacher to show up. Basically, the school became sort of a babysitting service. And then this is a mixed variant, an uneven line or series of phalanxes, and you could actually make a case that it was both. It's kind of a variation of two things at one time. And then the leftover category, if it didn't fit anywhere else, it fit the crowd. And this is a crowd of kids, 6th graders at their end of the hallway. Now here is what's called a taxonomy, and it shows how one thing leads to another. So at the top you find there's a line, and then the line can either be stationary, it's just standing there, or it can be moving. They're moving somewhere in the line. And then under stationary it can be controlled, semi-controlled, and not controlled.
Are lines different when a teacher's around?
Yes.
How are they different?
They have to be in a single file.
Stay together in a straight line, quiet, no talking.
But when a teacher ain't around,
They ain't in
with
no
line, they
hall.
talk, they just be their own self.
Here's a listing of all the hallway rules and line rules that the kids came up with. I'm not going to say they were all absolute. Some of them are pretty wild. But that's one of the things you do in research. You find out what they think, and then you make a list of it. And then this is a list of disciplinary methods according to the kids. They did have paddling in this school. I actually saw that, and it was on video for a few seconds. I couldn't believe it. This teacher comes out with this huge paddle and whacks the kid right in front of the camera. But that was legal in Georgia. Some of the reasons for being in a hallway: using the bathroom, taking messages, lining up, using the drinking fountain, and so on. Kids had a pretty good idea of the different things you could be in the hallway for. The curious one is vomiting down the bottom. So the result of my research was that there were publications. I had a chapter in an introductory sociology textbook presented at a conference, and also was the basis for presentations to doctoral psychology faculty at Wheaton and some other schools. Now, that might sound like the end of the study, but not really. There were ritualistic activities that I later found in the research, and here is one of those illustrated by a young man in the hallway. There you go, hanging from the door, that counts, but here comes the jump shot. All right. Imaginary basket, of course. Then an interesting detail that became a secondary analysis for me was the rituals. And here is a latent spirituality that I found, which I've never seen documented anywhere else. And these are a listing of some of the rituals. These lists came from some students, just everyday undergraduate students in my classes, who agreed to work with me and try to sort out all this video data. I had 116 hours of video data. We didn't go through all of it, but we went through some of it and came up with some interesting details. There is an ERIC presentation. ERIC is one of the most prestigious databases in the world. It's an educational database, and then I made some presentations at conferences as well. So that idea of a latent spirituality really did ring some bells. I still have videotapes of a lot of my data. I threw a lot of it away. I just didn't have space for it. And then I had the question, does rough and tumble play for boys come out of suppressing overt affection? Notice the mixture here of the affection and the wrestling. That is much more common in boys than in girls. This was a little theory that I came up in the middle of research, and I shared it with someone who is a specialist in rough and tumble play. And he looked at this video and he said, "You are on to something there." And so the conclusion is that qualitative research is a helpful way to understand people and what they're doing and their perspectives. And the video recordings really helped me get more data to analyze. But of course, we need to have other research studies to compare the findings that I found.
Honey in the rock, oh, sweet honey in the rock, oh. Honey in the rock, oh, sweet honey in the rock, oh.
Said I was too fragile, that living right was just a dream.
They said I